Hello! In this video I'm going to show you how to make this square with a double-ended Tunisian crochet hook. I called the pattern La Quadrature du Cercle because you are making a square while working in the round with a double-ended Tunisian crochet hook. You will find the instructions for this pattern in French and in English on my website rachelhenri.com. I created this pattern in the frame of a tea cowl organized by Knit a Knotter, alias Arunima, in 2021. In this video I'm showing you how to make the first 4 rounds to create this square. To make La Quadrature du Cercle, you need a double-ended Tunisian crochet hook, so a hook with 2 heads. I selected an 8mm hook, 2 balls of yarn, preferably in 2 different colors. You will need more yarn than what I'm showing here on this video. All the details are provided in the pattern. And this yarn is Gilliatt from De Rerum Natura. That's a French yarn. And then you will need a stitch marker to identify the first stitch of each new round that you're going to make. The pattern starts with a magic ring, a magic circle. So you grab that yarn thread, you turn it around your fingers, you cross it, then you turn your hand and you block the yarn thread in between your fingers. Use your thumb to block the 2 yarn threads here. With the head of your hook down, you insert your hook underneath the first thread and you grab the second thread and you turn your hook towards you so that you have some kind of loop on your hook. Then you make a yarn over with a working yarn and you pull it through the loop. Then you remove your fingers from the circle and you also remove that yarn end. You take the working yarn and you are going to work into that ring to add loops on your hook. So you insert your hook, you make a yarn over, pull up a loop, and then chain 1 to secure that second loop. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, chain 1, 3 loops on hook. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, chain 1, and you keep doing this until you have 8 loops on your hook. That's the first forward pass, so to say. Yeah, that's 2, 4, 6, 8 loops. Now to work these loops off the hook, you turn the hook, you slide the loops to the opposite end, you grab the other yarn thread, you place it on your hook, and then you pull it through the first loop. Then you make a yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and so on until you have 3 loops left on the hook. So you're making a return pass. Now you turn your hook again, slide the loops, and now you're able to tighten the magic ring. So you will take the yarn end here and you pull it gently to tighten the circle. And with the working yarn, well, you've done the first round and you will start the second round, in which you will make increases in the different stitches. So in the first stitch you will work 2 different stitches. First a twisted up stitch, so you grab it like this, and then a twisted knit. So make sure that your yarn thread, the blue yarn thread, is at the back here. You insert your hook through the loop and under the blue yarn, yarn over, pull up a loop. So you have 2 loops coming from 1 stitch. You place the stitch marker, and in the next stitch you will make a knit stitch and a simple stitch. So 2 different stitches in the next stitch again. To remove the loops from your hook, you turn it, slide to the opposite end, grab the blue yarn, and you make a return pass. It's always going to be yarn over, pull through 2 until you have 3 loops left on the hook. Then again, an increase, a twisted up stitch, and a twisted knit stitch into the same stitch, and then a knit stitch and a simple stitch into the next stitch. Return pass to work loops off the hook until you have 3 loops left, and then again you keep on doing the same. A twisted up first, and then a twisted knit into that same stitch. In the next stitch, a knit and simple stitch. Return pass. Three loops left on hook, turn again, and you only have 2 stitches left from round 1. So again, you make a twisted up and then a twisted knit into that same stitch, and then in the next, a knit and a simple. That's it for round 2. You turn the hook and you work loops off. Round 2 is done. Now you will make round 3. So again, you will make an increase in the first stitch here. So 2 different stitches, a twisted up and a twisted knit here. And then you will work in the stitch pattern. So in the next stitch you make a simple stitch and then a twisted up stitch. And in the 4th stitch you will work 2 different stitches again, a knit and a simple. So you are creating one side, the first side of the square. So we start with an increase, a twisted up stitch, and a knit stitch. Place the marker to make sure that you identify the first stitch of round 3, and then you make a simple and then a twisted up stitch. That's for the stitch pattern in between increases. And then again an increase. You make first a knit stitch and then a simple stitch into the same stitch. The first side is done. You work loops off the hook. It's always yarn over, pull through 2. That doesn't change. And then you start the second side of the square. Again, an increase, so twisted up and twisted knit into the same stitch. Then a simple stitch and a twisted up stitch. And then again, an increase, a knit stitch, and a simple stitch into the same stitch. Second side of the square is done. Third side, that's exactly the same. A twisted up and a twisted knit. And then a simple and a twisted up for the stitch pattern. And then an increase, a knit, and a simple into the same stitch. So basically you are always repeating the same sequence, an increase and then the stitch pattern and then an increase for each side. Last side of the square, twisted up, twisted knit, and then the stitch pattern, simple, twist it up, and then the last increase, a knit and a simple into the same stitch. So that's it for round 3. So you see that the shape of a square is appearing. Now we will work an increase in the first stitch and then in stitch pattern, so simple, twist it up, simple, twist it up, and then in that final stitch you will make another increase so that you're making one side of the square. So you remove the stitch marker, you work an increase in the first stitch, a twisted up and a twisted knit into the same stitch, and then you work in stitch pattern, so a simple, twist it up, simple and twist it up, so twice the same stitch pattern, and then an increase, so a knit stitch and a simple stitch. That's the first side of the square. Don't forget to place the stitch marker in the first stitch of the round. You turn your hook to work loops off. I find it easier to work one side at a time and then close the loops until I have 3 loops left on hook. But basically you can turn your hook whenever you want. So again here, a twisted up and a twisted knit into the same stitch, and then a simple and a twisted up, simple, twisted up. That's for the stitch pattern, and then an increase, a knit and a simple into the stitch, the same stitch. Third side, again, twisted up, twisted knit, simple, twisted up, simple, twisted up, and then an increase, knit and simple into the same stitch. Return pass, and last side of the square, exactly the same story, a twisted up and a twisted knit, then the stitch pattern, simple, twisted up, simple, twisted up, and then an increase, knit and simple into the same stitch. Now you clearly see the shape of a square appearing. Voila! You keep on working like this. For each new round, you will start with an increase and then you work in the stitch pattern until you reach the end of the side where you will work an increase again, and so on. So each time the stitch pattern will have one repeat more, and you just keep working in the round like this again and again, and you will have a square. And the square is because you have placed your increases on these angles. Voila! I hope it helps.